Welcome everyone and thanks for joining this session. My name is Fogi and I work as Global Employer Brand Lead at BAT. And today I would like to talk to you about a topic which is really close to my heart, which is scalability in employer branding. The motto of this session is, those in the center, they don't have a clue about anything. Or do they? Have you ever experienced that? That you claim that in a local market, something that has been designed globally for the EVP doesn't really resonate with your candidates? That is the topic that I would like to talk about today, okay? So I work at BAT, and for those of you who don't know what BAT is, it's one of the largest consumer goods companies on this planet. We are the 8th largest FTSE company with 50,000 employees represented in over 170 markets. So basically, what I'm trying to say, we are one of those large enterprises, right? We need to make sure that we attract the right candidates all across these markets. So we can't focus simply on a select few. That's where scalability comes really into play. And speaking of which, I do appreciate that there's no one-size-fits-all in talent attraction, right? I guess we all agree to the fact that there is no one solution in talent acquisition that is equally good for any single market or function or job that you would like to fill as a recruiter, right? I can also relate to this. Like if I think about BAT as such, like in markets such as Bangladesh, we're one of the largest employers in the country. And if we post a role, we literally receive over 1,000 CVs, whatever that role is. Whereas in the Netherlands, the landscape is slightly different. And also during my 12 years career with BAT, I have experienced that in Hungary, in Germany, the labor market is very different. Oftentimes we face very different challenges. So there is a good reason to say there's no one-size-fits-all solution for this, so we actually need tailored solutions. But then again, was this guy who said, hey, wait a minute, actually scalability is the right thing to do. Economies of scale was introduced by this fine gentleman back then, right, Adam Smith. And many years have passed since then, but still scalability and scale as such and synergies, well, I guess anyone who works at similar large-scale companies that like BAT, I assume you always talk about this aspect. How can we leverage on scale? And any single function in such organizations are looking for synergies, let it be procurement, let it be supply chain, let it be brand marketing. At the end of the day, we are all after synergies. So why on earth would talent attraction be different? We're not an exception. We need to follow the same kind of logic as any other function does, right? That's the expectation we get from our management board as well. So that means that in case of BAT, we are going through a large-scale transformation. We have our heritage in tobacco, but we are moving across a multi-category business with products even beyond nicotine. So we are undergoing a massive transformation, which means that we also need to attract and hire skills and capabilities that we never did before, such as like e-commerce, SEO, social media. Obviously, we didn't have these kind of skills in the company before because we were only a tobacco company. Since we are multi-category, we need to attract these talent, and these talent are really high in demand. So our challenge is, in this case study, what can we do to make sure we attract these types of talent, which we never hired before, on such a large scale in 170 markets, right? And so our challenge is that BAT, when we conducted a research 3 years ago about our brand presence, awareness, etc., attraction, we have seen that BAT has an awareness issue. Like 80% of our talent target group who we want to acquire said that they know little or nothing about BAT. They acknowledge the name, right? But they didn't really know in details anything about BAT. So it's hard to relate to a brand if you don't know anything about it. So we clearly established we have an awareness challenge. But at the same time, in the same research, we also established that if we prompt these talent with our new purpose statement, which is to create a better tomorrow through decreasing the health impact of our industry, The moment we prompt them with this, 60% of them say they are more likely to work for BAT than they were before. So what this means for us, people don't know nothing about us. We need to explain to them what is our purpose, and we need to explain to them how they can change an industry for good if they decide to work for BAT. So that was the challenge that we had, and the question is, okay, what do we do about it? In the past 3 years, we have systematically re-established our presence as an employer with scalability in mind. First of all, we re-established our value proposition, linking it clearly to this purpose of driving change in this industry. Then, based on that, we have launched a brand new global career site, a brand new global CRM for talent, as well as we have re-established our student competition, our LinkedIn presence. So we have basically re-established everything pretty much, all having scalability in mind. Why? Because we didn't want to reinvent the wheel parallelly in all of these markets. We have finite resources as any employer would. So we don't have the luxury of having separate different EVPs per market. So we started with the value proposition itself, linking it back to our purpose statement, claiming that if you join BAT, you can be the change. A very much actionable EVP. We have chosen a brand new look and feel as well, with very vibrant colors and in line with overall corporate brand. Now, key message here is that once we establish this, we have shared all materials related to the EVP with all of these markets. So basically, any HRBP from Austria through Australia to Argentina, they can log into a certain SharePoint where they can export all these assets. And moreover, we have established an internal agency who can transcreate and localize these materials for them. So again, like the end markets don't really need to have all those resources invested. They can just simply use what we created globally, but we don't expect them to just like post it on LinkedIn and that's it. We expect them to transcreate and adopt locally, right? Like we do with any product brand of ours, very similar logic. Once we establish the EVP, we have relaunched our career site, which is one of the most important touch points, right? It's the place where every single potential candidate visits at one point or the other of the journey. Whilst every journey is different, at the end of the day, they convert into an actual applicant on our global career site. So what we have created here is, on one hand, fully in line with the EVP, but what's more important for me in the scalability aspect is every single job flows into this. So we basically are receiving around about 2 to 3 million visits a year on this site and over 500,000 applications for the jobs that we post. So it's large-scale data that we get out of it. And why Poland or Romania or Hungary wouldn't really need a local career site anymore? Because on this site, it's not like some global top-line content that we have up there. Actually, these markets are able to create their local content on this website, let it be Czech Republic or Romania or Hungary, featuring their local stories. And then these stories would be prompted to those candidates who are relevant to them. What this means is a marketing candidate in Hungary would see very different content and relevant content versus, say, a finance candidate in Sweden. Okay, so it's a very different content, and we can do all the storytelling on the site to convince that incoming potential candidate to become an actual applicant. That's the main difference in this site versus the old one that we had. So what I'm telling my friends in the markets is that, well, guys, you don't really need to set up anything locally. You just need to fully exploit the value that's in there in the global site. And again, like how do they think in the global teams, right? Sitting in this global capacity, my interest is to make sure that anything we invest into globally is like generating the right ROI. The moment everyone starts to set up their local stuff, we will never get there. And we are never able then to make sure globally we are fully GDPR compliant, okay? So this is where all the thinking is coming from in terms of these scalable tools. We only invest into platforms that make sense for all markets, and they can then tweak the content in it locally. Also, the candidate will experience a very smooth application flow on this career site, because they will be prompted with job-specific questions which the recruiter can set up. So it will be very different set of questions for, different candidates around the globe, depending on their seniority, etc. So again, something that the markets can influence, and I'm not even involved, right? Same goes with our CRM. It was oftentimes a challenge. We go out on some campus activation or to a conference, we meet many great talent, but maybe we don't have that specific vacancy at the moment which would matter for that candidate. Same goes for visitors of our career site. So we managed to capture them through the CRM on a career site where they can sign up for future roles, and they also receive a monthly newsletter written by us and sent out to them so that we keep them warm. Now, we have over 20,000 signups already in this particular CRM, and we see that there is a very positive trend in people actually open the newsletter and read it. So where is the scalability in this one is that I'm able to see overall how many people have signed up, what's the breakdown per market, and then say if in Romania we have a need currently to hire XYZ software engineers, I'm just making this up now, then we can run some bespoke campaign in this CRM to those talent signed up who could be relevant, so that we keep them warm, we prompt them that there is this campaign coming of recruitments, and the recruiters can actually tap into these candidates from the CRM. So overall, so far, this is a very new thing that we recently launched, the CRM, but so far we have some very positive feelings around it, because we can see that the candidate who signed up there is really engaging with us, okay? Now, the next step was to also reestablish our social media presence by bringing it all together. Again, keyword here is scalability. We used to have 12 different LinkedIn accounts around the globe. Like there was, for instance, a separate one for Singapore, which is obviously not the largest market on the planet. So we were like, why don't we bring everything together and make sure that we have content admins around the globe who can then share their content into it. So a candidate would see globally relevant content posted by us, and at the same time would see bespoke targeted campaigns to, per market, which is making sure that that market's recruitment needs are fulfilled through the campaigns. So a great example that you can see here is we can even make sure that it's in separate languages. I know this is nothing new, like we know how LinkedIn operates, we know how social media works. What I'm trying to say with this is there was a bit of some eyebrows raised first that we are losing our local accounts. At the end of the day, the markets didn't lose anything, they still have the capability to go ahead. And just very briefly, I would mention that we also have repurposed and revamped our student competition, which is basically such digitally enabled that whether it's 27 markets or 40 markets joining in a given year into this competition, which we run from a global angle, it works, okay? So basically markets can decide whether they sign up for this campaign or not, and we are running the show globally. Now, what this really means for BAT currently in terms of talent acquisition, and why I brought this up, is that we are coming from a really decentralized model where every market was a little kingdom on its own, and we are going into a fully centralized, globalized approach in which scalability is key. And why it is good for the recruiter is that since we have one platform, one career site, one LinkedIn presence, etc., we can gain lots of insights, data, understanding about the candidates on a large scale, global scale level, okay? Which means we are then able to translate that into investment decisions and into bespoke campaigns, for instance, on social media. Therefore, I would really encourage anyone who works at similar large-scale organizations to look into opportunities to find platforms that are scalable and are customizable on a local level. Thank you very much for your attention and good luck with recruiting.